Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter. If you guys are watching on YouTube, and I hope you are, below me is Hank the Bass Geek. And guys, Thomas is back with us from Fishing the DMV. And tonight, guys, we got a special guest with us, tournament director for the 5 Alive Team Tournament Trail event series, Mr. Kevin Shepard. Welcome to the show, everyone. Guys, we got a jam-packed show tonight again. And before we dive into it, I put up a poll on our social media. Thank you guys all for participating on top of that. But out of 54, we got 94% of you guys are loving the new format. They're loving you, Thomas, because they love you, Thomas, because me and Geek, we've been doing this thing for 2 years now, and you getting all the love. So
hey, I wish my wife did, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is the second best prize.
So 54 out of 54 votes, guys, 94% of you guys say you're loving the new format. We really appreciate that. 3 votes at 5%. So guys, we appreciate that. I love doing it this format as well. I want to be a trendsetter. And we changed up a little bit last year, and we're changing up again this year. And I'm kind of liking the show. It's helping all of us. Thomas gets introduced to new people, Geek gets introduced to new people, and it helps all of us. And that's a really cool thing about it. I hope Thomas's wife's not getting too mad because he's on another show or helping or working with another show. So I hope Mama doesn't get too mad. But appreciate you guys all listening. Thank you for you all being a part of Basscast Radio. Our Patreon, guys, we're up to 2 subscribers. Thank you for that. I know Thomas is up to 200.
We're getting close. We're getting close. Shh. Don't jinx it.
I don't jinx it, everybody. But Thomas is getting really, really close to completing his Patreon, or his second level Patreon. So, guys, make sure you definitely head on over and check that out and subscribe. You get a lot of great discounts. Watch this commercial. I ain't going into all of it tonight. We got a lot to talk about, but you get a lot of great stuff when you become a partner with Fishing the DMV. Geek, let's open up with you real quick, man. What's happening in your world, brother?
Man, the same old stuff. We were out on the water doing a little bit of fishing today. It's my favorite time of the year. Screw Christmas. I love ledge fishing. Yay! So, we were out there doing that today. Still not in my neck of the woods perfect, but we was on a pretty tough lake today, and we caught 5 good ones. So pretty happy about that. Oddly enough, they were suspended, and we caught most of them on top water over the ledges. So, bonus.
Boom, there we go. Geek just dropped a new video today. We shared it. What's the video about, brother?
The video is about a cool bait from Bass Reaper, and it's about my favorite 8 ways to rig it. I kind of discovered them in Knoxville at the East Tennessee Fishing Show. They make some pretty cool, not the do-it mold sort of stuff, so they've got their own designs. And this is about a little bait called the Changeling. And it's kind of a play on a swim bait and a brush hog if they made sweet love and had babies.
Boom. All right, let's move on. Let's move on, everybody. So, guys, check out the video, subscribe, like, share. You know what it's all about. Thomas dropped an awesome podcast, guys. It's under 1 hour, by the way. It was great. I listened to it while I uploaded content today. And drop a little bit about what you spoke about on this show.
I had the opportunity finally because if people don't know, I'm on the board for Maryland for the Black Bass Association to make laws when it comes to largemouth bass fishing and tournament fishing. And we were able to get the PowerPoint presentation from Jake Norman of the Texas Parks and Rec Department, who did a 2-year study on the effects of forward-facing sonar in largemouth bass fishing in Texas. I reached out to him a month and a half ago, and it took that long to set up the interview where he went through his presentation and we went through it. Now it's nerdy, and I like that. This is the stuff that I like. I know it's not going to be clickbaity, but we went through it, and this cuts through all of the Randy Blockett and all that other stuff about what they have seen so far based on Texas fisheries. Side note here, Jake Norman is a cool dude. He runs Lake Fork. And I was talking to him off hour, and during the interview, I had to remember I was the host and actually talk because I was like listening to everything. This is so freaking cool. I'm going to have him back on the show. He wants to come back on to talk about some other things, but it's a really fun interview that cuts with data of what they have found so far on the first ever study in the world on the effects of forward-facing sonar on largemouth bass.
So here you go, guys. I listened to it because I was doing some work, but we recommend you watching this on YouTube, guys, and subscribing there, so you actually get to see the slides that he, puts out, presents during the show. So definitely make sure you guys tune in and check that out. As I said earlier, guys, Kevin Shepard is with us tonight. Kevin messaged me last week out of the blue, said, "Hey, dude, I listened to the show. Great show. I got some topics. Let's talk about it." And that's what the show's all about. We're just going to talk about topics and what's happening in the world of bass fishing and get different opinions. And we hope you guys can drop your opinions in the comments below on our Facebook page. So thank you guys for being a part of that. But Kevin, for anybody don't know who you are, I know who you are real well. You run one of the best tournament series down in North Carolina. Great payouts, a great championship. It's got something that I love more than anything: food. And it's a great time. And I want to say this right here for you guys. If I thank you for sponsoring the basscast.com, but if you want to sponsor a tournament series, Kevin has got one. If your logo is not noticed, they're blind, okay? Because he wraps everything down there with logos on it. I mean, it's logos, banners, you name it, all over the place. You will be noticed when you sponsor a Five Alive event. But Kevin, who are you, man?
First off, thank you for letting me having me on. This is I guess you could say it's my debut of a Zoom meet. This is the first one I ever had. So I'm getting into the 21st century, I guess.
You did better than me. I'm an IT guy and like to never got it to work. So
I had to get my wife to set the computer up for me today, so an hour early so it could be ready. But no, thank you again, Brian, for all the nice words for it. And I'm the director and owner of the Five Alive Team Trail out of North Carolina. We fish out of North Carolina and Virginia. And we've got 5 different trails we fish that I do. And I do one main trail, which is was sponsored by Alltech this year. I don't know if I can throw any.
Go for it.
Yeah,
go for it.
Oh yeah.
Alltech was the main sponsor for that trail this year, and they come on but we'll have our 2-day championship in September, and hoping to have over $100 next year. And so that's it. I'm just basically I fish when I can, but most of the time I'm running tournaments.
He's just like us, guys. He is in the business of bass fishing. And, just like us here at the basscast.com and, all of us, I mean, Geek gives you tips. Thomas keeps you in the know of what's happening locally on the water. And I try to keep you done, up to date on the media side and what's happening. And, Kevin's got a tournament series that he offers to you guys. And people don't know, me and Kevin were talking off before this. We don't make any money. Ain't gonna lie. I mean, we make a little bit, but we don't make no money. I mean, you guys always say this is a service announcement. This is a service, and it's bass fishing. So, but guys, like I said earlier, make sure you come on out and fish one of the Five Alive events in 2024. But if you did not put these on your schedule this year, which the basscast.com has a lot of dates and a lot of tournaments, and this ain't a hit right here, but fall's right around the corner, guys. And if we don't have your tournament series on the basscast.com, I'm sorry, that's your fault, because we have thousands of people a month come to the basscast.com to click on tournament schedules because they want to know what's happening. So if you want your tournament series to grow, reach out to us, thebasscast.com, Brian at thebasscast.com, or media at thebasscast.com, and send me your fall tournament series. I know we're talking about a little earlier, but guys, we're halfway. The season is halfway over. But we got some big events this weekend going on. We got the Major League Fishing up Thomas's way. He's a little bit close. Are you how far are you from James River, Thomas?
About 4 hours probably.
Oh, you're way away. Good God,
I got a bunch of friends down there that are actually camera boats. Huge shout out to SB Fishing and
yes,
HP Fishing, who are camera boats. Yep, they are camera boats right now. I think he was following Mark Daniels Jr. today, actually. So huge shout out, dude. Wheeler is a freaking machine. I mean, we could do a whole episode on this. At what point does he overtake Kevin Van Dam? I know there's like a huge
cloud.
It's like, no, it's almost like the Babe Ruth thing around Kevin Van Dam, because he is like the Babe Ruth, so to speak. But how many tournaments does Jacob Wheeler have to be in contention to end or win before we're like, damn, this is still impressive, even though it's not 5 fish?
Yes. Are we going to have a different category for them? It's going to be a different Hall of Fame for each one.
That's National League versus American League?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
it's a Major League Fishing, a Bassmaster. And yes, we can. That's a whole different show, guys, because we really could make that into another show, because Jacob was one of anglers. He even still did really well when they went to a 5 fish limit.
He won at Chickamauga, the Tackle Warehouse Invitational Electric Boogaloo, right? Yeah.
So, I mean, he's done really, really well on both sides. Now, we can't say that for all the anglers, because we did see a lot of different mix-up. You know, when they went to that 5 fish limit, we saw a lot of different winners than we had in the past couple of years at Major League Fishing events. So, and, you know, a lot of the anglers that left Major League Fishing last year that are now fishing the Bassmaster Opens said that was one of their things. We really enjoyed going back to the 5 fish limit. And plus they also got cut. I mean, let's talk about that. Yeah. Correct. I mean, they were the bottom feeders anyway, and they got cut for the next group to come in. But on top of that, that was their thing, that they really missed the 5 fish limit because they got a taste of it. And then we went right back to the every fish counts, as long as it's over a pound.
And I think that's fine. But when it comes to Hall of Fame, if you're able to pitch in a National League ballpark and an American League ballpark, that has to be taken into consideration when we talk about the greats of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah. And he definitely will be one of those. And we also have the Bassmaster League series. It kicks off tomorrow morning on. It's going to be, we upload on Thursdays, guys. So it's already kicked off on Smith Lake. And that's going to be another beater right there. And then next weekend, we have the NPFL event on Pickwick Lake. So we're kind of, like I said, we're halfway through the season. We're getting into the hot months. Night fishing has begun a lot around here. I know the Friday nighters are averaging about 40 to 40 boats. So come on out and fish the night tournaments. Kevin, you ever thought about doing a night tournament with your group?
I've had several people ask for it, but I got enough going on right now. The night tournament, so I'm good for right now.
I can't imagine the liability insurance of like, yep, we just ran over some tubers out there. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's already guys on jet skis with no lights.
Yeah, you're right.
That was funny as crap, geek. That was good. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, it's like, I will tell you guys this. I went out with a guide up here. Me and Danielle did a couple years ago she came down with the RA, and we did some night fishing, and I kind of missed it. I really did. I grew up, where we would fish piers all night long, and, I deep sea fished, and we loved going out at night. I mean, you didn't have the bugs. You didn't have the heat. You didn't have all the crap, and you didn't have the traffic, and that comes with it. But knock on wood.
You might not have had the bugs, but I'm fat and juicy. They seek me out. They know. Look at that. I'm gonna get some juice out of that fat boy.
Fat and juicy is also his license plate, by the way.
So yeah, so I mean, I grew up and we love fishing at night. So I mean, I kind of really enjoyed and kind of missed doing that. Again, welcome Kevin to the show. Kevin dropped some questions, and so I thought we would kind of talk about them tonight. And one of the first questions was, do your local fishermen think about them in competition in local tournaments and that is using forward-facing sonar on the local tournament series. And I know there's a couple different guys running it locally here, and more are coming on because a lot of them got it for Christmas. I mean, it was when you're dropping $5,000 or $6,000, and that's just the simple beginning of it. It's a Christmas present. But what was your thoughts on that, Kevin? And then we're going to dive into it.
I was interested to see because I'm not sure up there, but I'm sure it's the same where you're at versus my trail. 99% now have it.
Yes.
They have it. I mean, even my dad, he's 74 years old. He has it on his boat. And so there is I'm interested to see what other tournament directors or people around other tournaments are hearing, because I'm actually getting a lot of chatter of complaining about the live scopers, the ones that have took onto it and done really well with it. Because there's different levels of this. You got the guys that they don't do anything else. The younger guys, they don't do anything else but go out and live scope. They don't make a difference if they're in 3 foot of water or 60.
Yeah.
And then you got the old timers, and I'm in that category. I try to use it when I go, and I do. I can make catch 1 or 4 fish more than I would have caught without it. But I'm trying to mix things up, and really, to be honest with you, there's a line being drawn right now between the fishermen and the community around here, and there's tension between it. And I was wondering what the thoughts was, or what y'all had heard about it in your areas.
I'll start first. And this year, guys, we've seen 2 tournaments pop up with a huge jackpot. The one just announced 2 weeks ago now down in Alabama, no forward-facing sonar. And we wonder, this year we saw the implementation, and that is because of forward-facing sonar. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. The implementation of 1 angler on the boat for a local tournament series. And we've heard the complaints about the CoAnglers. I ain't got forward-facing sonar, or the forward-facing sonar is just on the front of the boat, which is mostly where everybody puts it. So, I mean, it is one of those things right now where we've talked about, I think the last year, we're pushing the CoAngler out the door. And that's my thoughts. Geek, I'll let you go.
Well, go ahead, Thomas. You seem like you had a thought. I might be a little long-winded on that one, but
did you say you're pushing the CoAngler out the door?
I think they are.
I think Brian and I did a show in November where I said death of the CoAngler. Look at this coming here. Go for it. You're chomping at the bit.
Okay, so I've got to disagree, but I fished CoAngler on the BFS for 3 years. I come to the realization now. I fish highlands reservoirs. The guys around here, man, they've been using it since it's Panoptics. It's just everybody has it. It's just. I mean, I run into a couple of my subscribers. They're in a self-made John boat, and they've got 2 on the front deck. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, the CoAngler argument, my CoAngler that went with me is a real good boater, and he did real well as a co, and almost every single guy on the Mountain Division was a scoper, and he caught fish behind them. He come away with big fish. To me, I know what the argument is, but I also know that as a co-angler, man, you just got to be creative. If there's water there, you can fish it. You have to be creative. You can't be pigeonholed in, well, I can't see them like you. For me, I think you have to be creative. And I learned from that guy as a co-angler. The dude made the regional. He was top 10 in points. And, he was like, look, I just went out there, and when they were doing this, I would do X, Y, Z. I'm not going to give away any of the secrets, but look, if you've got, the rule is fishable water. So fish.
Yep. That's very true. And I'll go ahead, Thomas. You had a comment.
About CoAnglers or live scope? Because I want to
Just
make
live
sure.
scoping, period. The question really is, Kevin's having an issue right now, and it's drawing a line between live scopers and non-live scopers, and it's causing rift in the fishing world, which has been causing rift in the fishing world since it began. And me and Thomas brought this up. I think the rift more is in the money. I mean, it's, why would I want to, invest $6,000 to win 100? You know what I'm saying? To win 500. I mean, we're talking about there is no freaking way. There is no way anybody fishing right now is paying this shit off.
Mm-hmm.
No way. No freaking way. You are dead before it's paid off. I mean, and me and Thomas brought up in our show that me and him did, $100,000 for a boat, another 6 to 10 for the graphs on payments that are stretched out for 30 years at $150 a month. I mean,
and
go ahead.
This is something anecdotally where I feel like I had my own thoughts. Bass Geek has had his own thoughts. A bunch of my friends are like, "Oh, I don't know if it's this way or whatever." And then luckily we did have, for better or worse, whether you want to trust the science or not, there was a 2-year study where they ran around for 2 years in Texas, not Illinois, not Alaska, but Texas and Lake Fork and Toledo Bend, and interviewed thousands and thousands of anglers over 2 years. I'll hit that again, over 2 years. It was 2022 and 2023. So in the height of forward-facing sonar, and there was no statistical major difference between the people that had forward-facing sonar and the people that didn't, that caught fish. Now, what does statistically important means? Meaning it was, and I actually have the data right here, so I'll actually pull it up. And then if you guys want the full PowerPoint presentation, you can go on Patreon. I have it there so you can look at the whole presentation. If you had forward-facing sonar, you had a 0.82% chance of catching one more fish. If you were a non-user, you had you had a 0.71% chance of catching a fish if you were a non-forward-facing sonar user, and you had a 0.82% chance of catching a fish if you did have it. So if you paid the money, you had an 8.2. If you didn't, 7.1. Now, what does that mean? And this is what I think is important, and I've been saying this for a while. If you are just doing a Thursday nighter or just going out there, you won't see the biggest jump. Mm-mm. But if you're a Jacob Wheeler, if you're a McKinney, you will see a massive jump because you're an elite athlete. These are the people, if they buy a Nike shoe that gives them a 2-second cut off their sprint, it looks amazing to all of us. But if my fat ass puts on that sneaker, you won't see a difference in me running. Because that percentage gap is only for the 1%ers in the sport.
And that's kind of what I'm going into now is for the 90% of the fishermen that I have, they're like me. They try to integrate it, and it helps them, but it doesn't help them. At times, sometimes it hurts them. But we have the ones in it. They're the younger guys that come in. I call them younger. I mean, I'm almost 50 years old now, so anybody 30 years or 35 years young to me, they're younger, and they're just up on electronics. And we really have. I've got probably 6 or 8 guys that fish with us that they're in tune with it, that they don't even do anything else. And we've got one particular guy that's so good with it. He has won 7 straight money tournaments on Lake Mayo this year along with it. And he's won everything they've had there. And I mean,
wow.
This is where the line's being drawn. We get the arguments from the other guys that's going, man, we can't compete with them. They go out there and do it. I see it. I understand it. But my question is, how are we to fix it? I mean, how can, as a tournament director, can I fix it?
Here, I will say this here, here at the basscast.com. So we had a kayak series, we folded, but we have 2 different tournament series here. We have, I hate to say it, we call it the Poor Man's Club. And we actually have 2 different series. And these are all guys who have anywhere between a $1,000 boat to a $6,000 boat. And they just have the basic electronics that come on it. And, our entry fee is $50. I mean, there's guys that want to fish, take home a little bit of money, put gas in the boat for the next trip. That's all they're winning. I mean, you can do it differently that way and just have another series and it just be that type of a series. Go ahead.
And I feel like
thinking.
it's like the crappie fishing world. You know, I was blessed to Richmond Crappie Club. Huge shout out to you guys. You're a new club, and I got to talk to them about this. And anything that's happening in bass fishing, it's probably already happened in the crappie organization first.
Yep.
They have 2 series, and I asked them about this off air. Like, okay, you have your non-scope and your scope leagues, and they said, you know, again, this is off record, but the reason we have the non-scope league is because that's for the older generation. Like, I'll take my scope off my boat and do it. And what that tells me is that will die on the vine eventually, because the next generation will come in. And so I think 2 things can be true at once. 2 things can always be true at once. One, yes, make a separate league if you want to for the people that want no scope. However, what's also true is this is here to stay. And in 5 to 10 years, that's all that there's going to be.
Yeah. And you know, it's just like with the website and anything else. I mean, you know, the changing of the times, and now we have AI, and now we have all this other crazy technology that it's like he said, it's going to slowly evolve over. The price is going to slowly drop. I mean, it's just like the flat panel TVs. They were $8,000. I can buy a 50-inch now for $500. I mean, my 50-inch was like $1,200 to $1,500. Now it's $500 at Best Buy. So I mean, things are going to change and things are going to evolve. The question is, do people want to learn it? Now, I think that's, I agree. And I think that's more of less than anything else is anybody over 55 does not want to learn it. And I won't let Geek pick up with that. So go ahead.
And, you know, I'm in the IT world. So I deal with technology and people all the time. And people hate change at first.
Yes.
Until they listen. I have implemented so many new technologies through I don't even know how long I've been in the field, 25 years at this point, and nobody likes it. When it first rolls out, the first week, the first month, it's buggy. Everybody hates it. Nobody likes it. They want to go back to doing it the same way. It's stupid.
Yeah.
They don't understand. Now, for me, I can give you 2 moments. I am 50. I give you 2 moments with forward-facing sonar. And I was talking about this. Shout out to my buddy Ben in South Carolina. I was talking about this with him just the other night. So the first time I really got to truly see, I got to go out on Cherokee Lake, one of my home lakes, and fish with John Soka when he was practicing for an open.
And he's a big crappie guy.
And, you know, when I first seen it and seen the amount of fish, like I was taking him to some of my spots where I've done well in tournaments and watching him catch fish that you knew were there. But I was at the moment, you were in the moment and you were like, wow, oh my God, this is mind blowing. The next day, one of my friends called me and he's like, man, so what do you think? Is it as real as everybody's saying? I was like, dude, I'm getting one. I'm excited about it. But it's like somebody killed Santa Claus. I'm like, I feel like everything that we've learned about bass fishing and all the work and all the theories, because that's what they are. They're unproven. We go back to the scientific method that most of us learned in high school. They are theories.
Yeah.
We caught a fish here. They must be doing this. A plus B equals C. Well, we's wrong. We's wrong on a lot of it.
Question.
And I did, man, all that work that I put in when I seen these fish just in open water and behind the boat I was like, it's just all wrong. And it was like somebody killed Santa Claus.
Go ahead.
Now, the second moment that really got me was last year when I went to fish the opens, because I'm a ledge guy. I'm a side imaging, down imaging 2D Damiki fish back before anybody knew how to spell Damiki, right? Or it had a name. And, you know, I've been catching smallmouth in 80 foot of water for 15, 20 years. So, but I went to the mountain division and I thought, I'm good with my electronics. I've been catching them using this. And I got my rear end handed to me by a bunch of boys that was really good with. And so for me, that told me I have to go and I have to put the work in. And for a solid 12 months, I ain't caught a fish unless I've seen it. Whether they're dirt shallow on the bed. I mean, I pulled up on a point, smallmouth, knowing that the water was raised, caught a limit and a little more on one of my lakes because I seen them paired up sitting there. And, you know, and so my point is, you got to want to learn it. You got to want to put the time and the work in on the water to do it. Because it's not going away.
To that, because I have multiple questions based on what you just said. But the first part is it being able to understand the fish behavior on what you see and also just being able to recognize what you see?
Recognizing is actually the easy part. I mean, look, you're going to throw, you know, look, I went out the other day to a lake that I'm just learning. And, man, I caught a bunch of saugeye and walleye and, you know, crappie on. So I'm still learning. You know, I went to a lake earlier this year. I caught a bunch of white and striper and hybrid on it. So you got to kind of go through that. You got to catch it, to know it, to see it, to figure out what's bass, how bass, and you're going to get that as you go, where they're at and what they're doing. And one of the hardest things that I've learned so far is when they're in open water, it's easy to tell what's a good fish and what's bad, what's a 3-pounder, what's a 2. But when they're shallow, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. You can be throwing that bluegill. Sometimes you're like, I think it's a big one, you know. You're like, so it's a little harder when they're there. So yeah, it is. Like today, you know, I threw everything in the book. I was on one spot that probably had 200 bass on it. I caught 5. So it ain't spotlighting. I wished it was. I wish, you know, the best 5.
Deer in the headlights.
Yeah, but it's it is, you got to learn. It is, you got to figure things out. You know, I ain't gonna tell you about the thing that I discovered today, but I'm still tweaking that. You know, they were suspended up, and man, they didn't want it. They didn't want it slow. If you threw a good time with a jig head minnow on them, they didn't want nothing to do with that. So
one other question I did have was based on something you said earlier, which is, at your line of work right now, people don't like change, especially when it comes to technology. I'm a millennial. I think I'm the last generation that actually remembers really before the internet and social media. I remember in college when they finally let us have a computer in class because they didn't think we were going to cheat. How much of this, though, is it's the boomer generation, Gen X, and the millennials that are not born into social media and technology? When you're talking about the Gen Z angler and the Gen Alpha, who all they know is this habitual change of technology, do you think they're going to have this same issue with new updates and new technology? Yeah,
they will. And Kevin, this is a great question that I have going off of that for you. You know, you know, you said that one guy had won several, you know, over and over. Is that his home lake? Is that where was he good on that lake anyway?
He's good everywhere. He's really good everywhere. He's actually come out of college. He was a college fisherman for East Carolina. He's a younger boy. I think he's 25. Yeah. And he is he's good everywhere he goes. Matter of fact, we went to Kerr this weekend. He finished 4th. Wow. And he actually told me, I pick on him all the time about his live scope because, you know, I like to pick with him. And he came to the scales Saturday, and they finished 4th in the tournament, and he put him in the basket, and he said, I never turned it on today. I said, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. But swears he didn't.
So are we just picking on Michael Jordan for wrecking some like pickup basketball?
Dang.
Well, but I'm glad you said that, because really with the Wheeler conversation earlier and everything, that's what's happening. To me, you've got the ones like this guy I'm talking about are so good. And he's not the only one. Believe me, there's numerous in my crowd. But you got the Wheeler and you got those. And they're just elite above everybody else. They know it better. And just like anything else in this world, when you're on top, what's everybody want to do? They want to knock you down. So they're going to complain and they're going to try to find everything they can to get you down.
Yeah.
So my deal is just like the question I was having earlier was, what can I do as a tournament director to change things? And I have thought about the process of doing a non-live scope tournament trail, and I think I am going to do one tournament this year without it, just to see the flow of it, see how it goes. But no, I don't think it's going to change. I don't think it's ever going to leave.
Yeah, I mean, and for you guys out there, me and Mike Del Visco, we're big friends and known each other for quite a while. And Mike does an excellent like tutorial on like forward-facing sonar and a lot of the technology out there, and he keeps up with all of it. And I guess the point of it really is, until the older generation sees what this stuff really does, that Mike can take them out on a boat and show them what this thing does and what they're really missing.
Yeah.
It will show them whether they really want to invest the money. Is, it's like going out with your buddy. I mean, you're going out with your buddy for the day and he's like, look, I just bought this brand new toy, because that's about all it really is, because you'll never pay for your toy. It's a toy, and you bought this new toy, and he's like, dang, I want one of them toys. And that's pretty cool what it does. And I'm willing to invest $6,000. Guys, I'm just throwing 6 out there. I know it's well up in there based on the screens and monitors and all the crazy crap that you buy. But, that's how it kind of works. And until people say, I'm willing to invest that type of money into it. And like you guys were saying earlier, I've talked to 4 guys in the last year that had just pretty much dropped out of tournament fishing because they said, my boat's $2,000. Why do I want to put 10 on it? It's putting $3,000 worth of rims on a $1,000 Cadillac. I mean, to look cool,
honestly,
but I mean, at the same time, you're not really getting the percentage like you guys said.
No,
and you're not getting the percentage of the catches that Kevin mentioned, as well as Thomas mentioned. What's now one extra fish? Yes. Okay. One extra fish when you're talking about 50, 25, $100,000 on line.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. You damn right. I mean, yes, 100%, but $10,000 when it's $500 on line, maybe, but I mean, 1,000, but like I said, you'll never pay it off. I mean,
especially when you can't afford to put gas in your boat right now.
Just put in a little extra work. There's my 2 cents.
And again, I go back. Another question for Kevin for me is, how many of those anglers that are really kind of complaining are the guys who on their home lakes? Yeah, they're on their home lakes. They're fishing it 3, 4, 5 days a week. So they have that advantage, right? That's an advantage. Me, I'm a weekend warrior. I get to fish maybe once, twice a week. So for me, I don't get to cover a lake, like that, where these guys have had that for years. Maybe their dads fished with them and they know the dad and papa's spot. And, so they go out there and maybe they don't have to really learn because they've done well and they've cashed checks on those lakes. But now, as we have very much agreed on in my area, they ain't no secrets around here. No. And also what I've always preached since down and side imaging, the weekend warrior, the guy like me that's fishing 1 day or 2 days a week, it is the great eagle.
Yeah.
So I mean, like Geek was saying there, you good? But like
if you're going to compete in those tournaments, you're stupid for not investing in that. If that's what your goal is.
And that's a truth too. If that's really your goal, I mean, it's like fishing. It's like fishing the local bass tournaments here, the Bass Nation of Virginia. That's what I had in my head. The Bass Nation of Virginia tournaments. You have a goal of going to the championship, the next level. And if that's your goal, then go for it. Invest the $6,000 because that's what you ultimately want to be, a Trey McKinney, et cetera, et cetera.
I had a good friend that runs a tournament trail up here. He's run it since literally World War II. Charlie Taylor said, he was like, Thomas, there's a difference between a club and a tournament trail.
There you
I
go.
didn't understand what he meant by that. And it's like,
Yes.
I've run New Horizon since I think it was like the 70s. And this has been our entry fee and I've never raised it. And our number one rule is after the tournament, you must tell everyone what you caught them on and share information. And it's about the knowledge and it's about growing. If you want to compete for money, there are plenty of trails out there for that. And that's a really gut check moment of if you want to be competitive, well, then that means you have to do X, Y, and Z, which is the technology and stuff. If it's a club, that's perfectly fine. And I don't know, that to me really reflected that there's a need for both, but what are you?
Yeah.
I agree.
I like that. Go ahead, Kevin.
I've actually been in the situation he's spoken of. When I first started my trail, I was only one trail, and I come from clubs. I started a couple different clubs, and so I tried to run it like a club, and I got it, like you said, a gut check. I've made the serious mistake of putting a poll out asking everybody in the trail what they would like to have for the following year. And had a good friend of mine that fishes everything, all of my stuff and everything. He told me, he said, "Look, this is yours. This is your tournament trail. This is your business." He said, "This is not a club." He said, "You run it the way you want it, and that's the way it's got to be." And I learned the hard lesson. And you're exactly right. There's a difference between a club and there's a difference between fishing competitively on a trail for money and everything else. But to get back to one other point that the basket asked me earlier, I've got several guys that are very good fishermen. One of them's been to the All American, the BFL, and strong fishermen. They've won points championships with me and everything else. They're having issues with it. They don't like it, and I mean, disgusted about it. I mean, they got to the point where they just about want to get out of fishing because they're not to that caliber with the live scopes. And the only thing I can tell them is it's just like anything else. You got to put your time in, and you're going to have to commit to it. Unfortunately, that's the new way of fishing. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, and I like what Thomas said about the difference between a club and a trail as well. But it's going to come down and it's going to eventually have to happen. But we've brought it up in our show in the past that the younger generation, bass fishing is a job. I mean, they have actually, I mean, we got a guy down at Bugs Island. I ain't gonna bring up his name. That's what his job is. He scopes the night, fishes during the day, and takes everybody's money. And
But I can guess who that is.
Yes. But I mean, that's his job. And, we're at a different generation of kids. We're at a generation of kids that want to work Monday through Friday and maybe Monday through Thursday. And, that's all they want to, it's a total, they want outdoors and they want leisure time is more important to them than money. And it's taken a big amount of time for people to understand that. But also in the world of bass fishing, Trey McKinney's leading points and he's leading Rookie of the Year right now. But his parents own a business. I mean, it's out there, guys. I mean, his dad sponsors him. But, a lot of these kids are on the water. Even some of the guys we interviewed, the young man from the MPFL. I mean, dang, what did he say, Geek? I mean, it was like 6 out of the 7 days. I mean, one day he went to church.
It was right at 300 days on the water.
Yeah. So, I mean, between church and holidays, if it wasn't for them two, he'd be on the water 365. So, I mean, there we are. I mean, it's a different world. And you almost now have to treat it as a business because this thing got so damn expensive. I mean, it really has. I mean, it has gotten so expensive that you now have to treat this as a business. It is the same as you renting or buying a truck and you delivering furniture and you've officially slapped the name on it that this is a moving company now. And you have made that commitment that you're going to put diesel at $5-6 a gallon in it. So, I mean, it's a business now. It really is. Go ahead.
And
Thomas.
I think that's the issue too. This is a whole nother conversation that we could have, but it kind of gets into what you're saying. Is it actually a sport or is it NASCAR? Because I don't have parents like Mick does. A lot of people don't have a trust fund that they can fall back on. And if you need a trust fund to be able to get out on the water every day, Is it actually a complete sport? Because guess what? I know there's some people that grew up in some really bad situations that are now the running back for like Alabama or some university because it's just pure skill and you either have it or you don't. Yeah. And I feel like fishing is dangerously getting close to NASCAR where it's like, well, yeah, this is just Mel Gibson owns this company. And so I get to be the race car driver, which is perfectly fine. I know what NASCAR is, and I'm going to call a spade a spade. I think there's this issue where people still think this is like a baseball or a football sport where if you just have the talent, it's great. And no, because in baseball, if you throw 98, 100% you'll make it. Here, unless you can afford a $180,000 IKEA boat, you can't make it.
But we're gonna wrap this up here in a minute, but because you're getting close to my hour. But guys, one thing though, I mean, like you said, I mean, and people are understanding that though in the last couple of years, this has changed where we've gone to expos and we've gone to shows, and some of the most important people there are Thomas, and people are looking at the, and they're people really, I'm serious, Thomas, and these influencers are getting more, notoriety than the actual anglers themselves. I mean, and the world's done changed. It really has. Where, I don't know. I mean, it's like they don't like the rich people. They believe they got tons of money and all this other crap, and they really don't. But I mean, the whole industry has kind of done this whole flop where social media took over, influencers took over. Geek's got a huge following. I mean, dang, I saw Geek. We're like 4 states away, and people are running up and shaking Geek's hand in South Carolina at a Bassmaster Classic. And so, I mean, it's the industry itself has changed. I mean, the older people are running after the anglers. They're running after Kevin Van Dam. They want to talk to Skeet Reese and all them. The younger kids, they want to come talk to Thomas, man. They want to see what's going on. They want to talk to Bass Geek. They love his channel. They love learning. So we're in a rotation here in the world of bass fishing, and we're I say we're the leaders, really. I mean, it's gone from where the geeks used to be. It was the jocks, and the geeks got their underwear pulled up over their head, and now it's the other way around. Geeks are winning. Here we are, boys. We're winning. We're winning. Finally.
I can't say anything. I was a jock in high school. I call myself a born again geek. So anyway, but the thing of it is, though, I mean, I think it is a financial. It really does boil down to it being a financial issue. Yeah. And I was talking to a buddy of mine. He runs Brazalo Baits, and he's put out some really good TikToks that are talking about the boating industry. I don't know if you guys know now. Mercury always has some layoffs. They lay off about this time of year. Maybe 100 people. They've laid off 300 people.
Yeah.
And so, and then I don't remember the boat company, but, I think we're going to see a decline in the 20, 21 foot boats. I think you're going to start seeing those 18, 19s. I don't remember who it was. They come out with a 19.6 now, which used to be really the standard with 200 horse on it. And I think whether it's cost of materials, whether, whatever the boating industry wants to call it, if they're going to stay alive, I think them and possibly the, who was it? He's out of Knoxville. He run a 19-footer, a Camus 19-footer, a couple years back. John, I can't remember his name anyway, but I think you'll start seeing things kind of revert, because realistically, the tackle side of things, I think it's kind of, we hit a road bump there. Everything's kind of
we're starting it. Yeah.
Yep. But the big issue really is the boats and the electronics, and the electronics is always going to be an arm race, man. It's as long as they're allowed, somebody's going to want to buy them.
Yeah, Thomas, I'm going to let you give your last statement.
Yeah, and hopefully just yank me if I'm going too long-winded here. But yeah, I think with a boat, does a brand new 20-foot boat give me that much more of an advantage than a boat that's 4 years old? I don't know. But if you tell me it is the newest technology or the newest bait, give me an advantage versus something a couple years old, 100% it does, and I'll put the money into it. And to me, it's always been, when do we hit that block where people just say, no, I don't need the new Phoenix. My 2018 is fine. When do we hit that? And I feel like we're getting there, and it will happen where you don't need that boat. It's not worth the squeeze. And then what happens to the industry?
I don't know when that's going to happen, because even during the recession, I was going down there to English Choice, and you guys know English Choice has been sponsoring me for the last few years, and the boats are still flying off the rack. And I mean, I don't know if and Kevin will tell you, I don't know if it's because they can break the payments down to 40 months or 40 years of payments. I mean, and they'll run them till the warranty runs out, because the motors are all blowing up and we're having issues like a mofo with all half of them. And, they run them till they blow up, and then they trade them in because they're still within their 5-year warranty, and they go out and buy another one. And this bubble just keeps rotating.
A thing that I think will become a thing eventually is the vintage boat line, because there is such a cult following for OG Chargers and Ranger hulls and Triton hulls. And I'm really wondering, because what is it, a 20-year cycle when like the 80s came back? That's going to become a thing, I think, where people are just like, I don't want the new Ranger. I'm going to buy a 2008 hull, or I'm going to buy the old Charger or something hull. I think that's going to become really popular in the next 8 years, potentially.
Kevin,
I think that's the only way you can afford it anymore.
Yeah.
That's me. I mean, I've got a 2020 Ranger, and when I was fishing all the time, that was great. But I don't fish enough now
right?
To, really condone having it. And I can't afford to go buy a new boat no more. So basically, I'm gonna probably keep this a couple of years, and I'm looking for what he said, an older hull and put a new motor on. Only way you can afford anything anymore.
Yeah. Well, I've got a 1998 Triton sitting out there with a 1998 Johnson, and
best motor
when
ever
I bought my new boat, I didn't trade that in for a reason.
Yeah, smart, very smart.
Well, guys, really appreciate everyone listening tonight. Thank you for being a part of tonight's episode of Basscast Radio. Hopefully, we helped you guys. We're beating up this thing on forward-facing sonar, but it's all because of you. It really is. And I've made some. It's kind of like Kevin said. Sometimes you'll make mistakes, and I made mistakes on the Basscast.com. I'm a geek. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I'm 100% geek, like Bass Geek. And sometimes you throw up stuff on the website and it pisses people off that, you implemented a new plugin, or you added something chat to it, or, you added something. And we just have to look at our demographics and see, the age that we're kind of catering to, who is our market and who's fishing our tournaments. But we can't appease everyone. There's no way in this world everyone will be appeased. And we're seeing it happen now, where we're having the no CoAngler cat starting that up this fall. I'm excited about it. I'm kind of looking forward to it to see how it all plays out. And, we got another league that's doing that as well. So there's a lot of things changing right now in the world of bass fishing, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But guys, thank you for listening. A couple of things before we wrap up. Our latest episode of On the Line, our newsletter, bi-weekly newsletter, is dropping July the 1st. I've implemented brand new things to it. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you sign up for that, you can go to basscast.com, or it will be in the show notes for the newsletter. There's a private Facebook group, and it's only for newsletter members. And I think I sent Thomas and I sent Bass Geek an invite to it. And we want to be there, and it's just for you. We're hoping to, maybe add some pros there and some different people where you can get your questions answered. You can ask Geek some questions, and we just want it to be for our newsletters. That way, after you read a topic or a story, you got a place to come back and relay your comments, thoughts, and opinions. So, guys, thank you for being a part of that. We're sending like 1,500 subscribers to our newsletter. So thank you guys all for signing up. The goal is 2,000 by the end of the year, and I think we can do it all because of you. Guys, 4th of July, holiday next weekend. Anybody got any big plans? Anybody? Anybody?
Fishing.
Nope.
I don't have
I'm
a
gonna be
tournament to run. I'm
working.
excited.
Yeah, I'll be at work working a 12-hour shift.
Boom.
Oh.
I'm off. It's our plant shutdown, but this year we are tearing up some 2008 carpet and we're putting down laminate flooring. So I will be doing some work around the house, unfortunately, but it needs to be done. So there will be no show next week. We're going to take the holiday off for that, and just a time to recoup and chill. So we will be seeing you all again in 2 weeks right here on Basscast Radio. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll be talking to you next week.
Bye.